Chosen one, have you ever felt as if God's voice were distant, almost like a muffled whisper amidst the constant noise of the world around you? Perhaps you are trying to listen, but the opinions of others, fear-based thoughts, or even a harbored resentment are silencing this much-needed connection. Do not be mistaken. This is not a coincidence, and much less a failure on your part. Today, you will discover the 7 habits that are blocking your ability to hear God clearly. And more importantly, you will learn how to correct each one of them so that your spiritual journey is once again guided by divine wisdom. Stay with me, because what you are about to hear now may be the key to a deep and transformative connection with the purpose that God has prepared for you. In this video, we are going to talk about something that may be preventing you from hearing God's voice clearly. These are 7 habits that often go unnoticed but silence the divine directions in your life. And here is the good news. Throughout this video, I will not only reveal what these habits are, but I will also show you how you can correct each one of them immediately. Because God wants to speak to you clearly and powerfully. Perhaps you have been through this. You pray, seek answers, wait for a sign, and all you encounter is a deafening silence. This can be frustrating and even make you question whether you are on the right path. I want you to know that you are not alone. Many chosen ones face this same struggle. But hear this, God never abandons His children. This silence is not the end. What I am going to share here may be exactly what you need to completely change your spiritual life. As a chosen one, you have been called to fulfill a unique and extraordinary purpose. This purpose is not random. It is carefully designed for you. However, to walk this path, it is essential to be in tune with divine guidance. Imagine trying to navigate an unknown sea without a map or compass. Without hearing God, you can easily feel lost, directionless, or even question whether you are on the right path. It is through this connection that you receive the necessary clarity to overcome challenges and advance towards your destiny. We all have habits that shape our lives, but many of them can act as invisible barriers that block communication with God. These habits create noise, like static in a radio transmission, making it difficult to hear the messages He constantly sends us. The good news is that, with awareness and effort, you can identify and correct these patterns, allowing God's voice to flow freely in your life. Regardless of your religion, beliefs, or spiritual background, everyone has the ability to hear God. He speaks in different ways, adapted to each of us. Some people hear a calm and quiet inner voice. Others perceive signs in day-to-day circumstances or in moments of deep reflection. However, these channels can be obstructed by habits such as fear, doubt, distractions, and even lack of faith. The message is always there, but it is up to us to adjust the receiver to hear it. Think of God as a radio station that is constantly transmitting messages of love, guidance, and wisdom. However, if your receiver is out of tune or full of interference, you will not be able to hear clearly. These noises are created by negative habits and attitudes, such as resentment, anxiety, or a routine that does not prioritize spirituality. Adjusting the frequency means eliminating these blockages and creating space for the divine message. Hearing God is not just a matter of spiritual seeking. It is an essential tool to align your actions with the greater purpose that has been designated for you. God knows the challenges you will face and the decisions you will need to make. He wants to guide each step, but this guidance will only be perceived if you are willing to listen. Every decision you make without consulting or hearing God can lead you astray, while every choice aligned with Him brings you closer to the final destination. The habits that block your communication with God do not only affect your spiritual connection, but also your life as a whole. They create mental confusion, negative emotions, and even physical obstacles. For example, a habit of procrastination can prevent you from taking important actions, while excessive worries can obscure the peace that God wants to give. When these habits are corrected, your life begins to flow with more ease and purpose. Many times we seek God's voice in external places, expecting a great sign or a spectacular revelation. But most of the time, God speaks within you, in your conscience, and in moments of silence. If your mind is always occupied with worries, distractions, and noises from the outside world, it becomes difficult to hear this voice. Cultivating habits that promote inner quiet is essential to create a space where the divine presence can be felt. Small changes in your daily habits can have a significant impact on your ability to hear God. Something as simple as taking a moment to pray or meditate in the morning before starting your day can help tune your receiver. Just as we adjust a radio to find the right station, adjusting your routine can eliminate interferences and open channels of communication with the divine. The blocks you face in hearing God are not definitive sentences. They are opportunities to grow. Every negative habit you identify and correct is a chance to get closer to God and yourself. When you realize you have the power to change these patterns, you gain confidence that you can overcome any barrier. God does not want you to feel disconnected or incapable. He wants you to be in harmony with Him. Now is the time to reflect on the habits that are preventing you from hearing God and take steps to correct them. Recognizing these blocks is the first step towards true transformation. God is waiting for you, ready to transmit everything you need to live an abundant life aligned with divine purpose. The decision is in your hands. Adjust the receiver, eliminate interferences, and allow His voice to guide every aspect of your journey. Many times we want to hear God's voice, but we feel disconnected or unable to perceive His guidance. By understanding and transforming these patterns, you will create space to clearly hear God's voice and live according to the purpose He has for you. Anxiety is like a constant noise in the mind, which makes it almost impossible to perceive God's gentle voice. When we are constantly worried about what might go wrong or obsessed with problems that have not yet arisen, we create a spiritual blockage. This state of unrest keeps our mind so full that we cannot hear divine guidance. An effective way to calm the mind is to practice mindful breathing before prayer. Try inhaling deeply for 4 seconds, holding the air for another 4, and then exhaling slowly for 8 seconds. Do this repeatedly for a few minutes and notice how your mind begins to calm down. This moment of inner silence creates space for God's peace to fill your heart. When your mind is full of worries, there is no room for God's peace. Lack of gratitude makes us focus on what we don't have, instead of recognizing the blessings we have already received. This disconnects us from divine abundance and traps us in a cycle of dissatisfaction. Gratitude is a bridge to God's heart because He rejoices when we acknowledge His gifts. To cultivate a grateful heart, use a gratitude journal. Every night, write down at least 3 things you are grateful for that day. Over time, you will notice how this simple habit transforms your perspective and paves the way to hear God more clearly. When we stray from the truth, even in small actions, we create an invisible barrier between us and God. Small lies, omissions, and lack of integrity corrode our spiritual connection. God is the essence of truth, and He expects His chosen ones to live according to this principle. Take a moment every night to reflect on your actions of the day. Ask yourself, was I honest today? Did I act with truth in all situations? Identifying areas that need correction is the first step to rebuilding your connection with God. Holding on to resentments is like carrying a heavy load that prevents us from walking closer to God. Forgiveness is not just an act of liberation for others. It is primarily for ourselves. Grudges block the flow of divine presence in our lives. In Matthew 6:14-15, Jesus teaches us, "For if you forgive other people when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you." Forgiveness is liberating, both spiritually and emotionally. Before going to sleep, say a simple prayer. Lord, I release forgiveness to name of person and place this situation in your hands. Heal my heart and fill me with your peace. The world around us is noisy, but the greatest noise is often within ourselves. Incessant thoughts and internal worries distract us from God's gentle presence. Without moments of silence, it is impossible to hear His voice. Create a daily moment of silence. Set aside 5 to 10 minutes in a quiet place. Close your eyes and simply be present. Do not try to think or solve anything. Just allow yourself to be in stillness, waiting for God's voice. Comparison is a dangerous trap that fosters insecurity and envy. Each chosen one has a unique purpose, but by comparing yourself to others, you lose sight of the gifts God has given you. This diverts your focus from God's plan for your life. Do a self-assessment exercise. List 3 gifts or abilities you believe you have received from God. Then, thank Him for them in prayer and ask for wisdom to use them for His purpose. Faith without action is sterile. Many chosen ones expect God to do everything, but He expects us to take the first step. It is in action that God manifests His plans and reveals His power. No matter how small the step you need to take seems, trust that God will use your courage to open doors and guide your path. As it is written in James 2:26, faith without deeds is dead. These 7 habits, when unrecognized and uncorrected, become major blocks to hearing God. But by implementing these simple practices, you will begin to perceive His presence more clearly and consistently. The spiritual journey is a daily construction, and every step you take toward God, He takes toward you. Did you know that there is a single principle capable of correcting all these 7 habits at once? It is something simple, yet so powerful that it can completely transform your connection with God. I will reveal this at the end of the video, so stay with me until then, because this may be the key you have been looking for. We live in a world full of distractions, social media, work, incessant worries. These external and internal noises create a true blockage between you and God. He speaks in the silence, in the interval between thoughts, in the stillness of your spirit. Therefore, it is essential to create moments of pause, meditation, and contemplation. When you silence the chaos, you create space to hear the wisdom that God has to share. Gratitude is like a key that opens doors to a deeper divine connection. When you focus on what is lacking instead of being thankful for what you have already received, you create a cycle of scarcity and detachment. God wants you to recognize the blessings already present in your life. Start and end your day with a moment of gratitude, acknowledging even the smallest gifts you have received. Being stuck in the past or excessively anxious about the future blocks your ability to hear God in the present. He operates in the now, in the moment you breathe, feel, and live. Practicing presence is essential. Connect with the present moment to align with divine energy and receive the answers you seek. When you are filled with judgment, whether directed at yourself or others, you create spiritual barriers. Judgment feeds separation, while God is unity, compassion, and understanding. Replace judgment with understanding and see how your mind and heart become receptive to the divine voice. Transformation is an inevitable process for those seeking a deeper connection with God. However, resisting changes, whether out of fear, pride, or complacency, keeps you stuck in old patterns that block your spiritual evolution. God constantly calls His chosen ones to evolve, to expand their horizons, to leave behind what no longer serves. When you doubt the greater plan, you create a disconnection between you and God. Trust is like a clean channel through which divine wisdom flows. God has already prepared everything you need, but you need to trust in this process and let go of excessive control. God is always sending signs, dreams, sensations, encounters, even setbacks that teach us something valuable. Often, we ignore or rationalize these signs, treating them as coincidences. Pay attention to the patterns and subtle messages around you. They are a divine language that only the attentive can comprehend. When you eliminate these blockages, you create space for divine guidance to enter your life powerfully. It is like cleaning a dusty window. You will begin to see clearly and receive the messages that have always been available, but that previously seemed distant or confusing. God never stops communicating with you. He is waiting for your willingness to listen. Today, choose to align your habits with this divine energy and see how your life will begin to transform. When you create space for silence, something powerful happens. Your soul begins to align with the highest frequencies of the universe, allowing communication with God to become clear and accessible. This silence does not have to be absolute. It is a state of inner peace that you can cultivate even amidst external chaos. Set aside daily moments to be with yourself in a quiet environment where you can hear not only your thoughts, but also the guidance God wants to reveal. Gratitude is not just a gesture of acknowledgement, but also a spiritual practice that elevates your vibrational frequency. When you genuinely give thanks, you create an energy of receptivity that attracts even more blessings into your life. This does not mean ignoring difficulties, but learning to see them as opportunities for growth. God uses even moments of scarcity to shape the character of a chosen one, teaching them to value what truly matters and to trust in the greater plan. Judging others or yourself is like building walls that separate you from God's unconditional love. Divine energy does not operate in condemnation, but in compassion and acceptance. When you let go of judgment, you create space for understanding and forgiveness, which are bridges to a deeper spiritual connection. Try to look at yourself and others with God's eyes, with love, patience, and the understanding that we are all at different stages of evolution. Resistance to change is one of the greatest spiritual blockages a chosen one can face. God never leaves us in a state of stagnation. He is constantly inviting us to grow, to evolve, and to embrace new challenges. Accepting transformation is an act of faith, as it requires trusting the process, even without seeing the final result. Every change in your life, no matter how uncomfortable it seems, is a piece of the puzzle that God is putting together to reveal the greater purpose of your existence. The signs God sends are often subtle and can easily be ignored if you are not attentive. They can manifest as a persistent feeling, an unexpected encounter, or even a coincidence that seems too improbable to be random. Recognizing these signs requires you to be present in the moment and connected with your intuition. Trust that God is always communicating something, even if the message is not immediately clear. Often, understanding comes with time and patience, when you look back and realize how everything fit together perfectly. Correcting the habits that block your connection with God is not just about changing external behaviors, but also about transforming your mindset and opening your heart. God is always ready to guide, heal, and restore, but He waits for your decision to open the doors of your soul to His voice. By doing so, you will discover that hearing God is not just a privilege, but a vital necessity to live as a true chosen one. Recognizing the habits that shape our lives is the first step to any transformation. Often, we live on autopilot, repeating actions and thoughts that, instead of bringing us closer to our goals, distance us from the greater purpose that God has laid out for us. But to change, it is essential to identify these routines. Take a moment to reflect deeply on your daily actions. Ask yourself, which habits strengthen me spiritually and which ones weaken me? Only by bringing these answers to light can we begin the journey of transformation. Changing habits is not something that happens overnight. Often, negative routines are so deeply rooted that they seem unbreakable. However, this is where spiritual discipline comes in as a fundamental pillar. God teaches us that through faith and constant effort, we can overcome any obstacle. Think of it as a spiritual battlefield where you need to fight against old impulses while strengthening your connection with the divine. Persistence and patience are crucial in this process. Spiritual discipline is the secret to transforming your life and correcting the habits that take you away from your true essence. This involves a daily commitment to practices that nurture your soul and align your mind to God's purpose. Through prayer, meditation, and reading sacred texts, you begin to replace destructive habits with actions that promote peace, growth, and fulfillment. Remember, the strength to change does not come from you alone, but from the connection with the divine. A powerful practice to remove blockages and transform habits is directed prayer. Dedicate a daily moment to say a specific prayer, asking God to free you from negative patterns and strengthen your will to adopt new routines. The prayer can be simple but should be sincere. Lord, free me from the habits that take me away from your purpose. Give me strength to live according to your will and transform my heart so that I may be a reflection of your love. Another important step to change habits is to create a physical space dedicated to your spiritual connection. This corner can be simple: a chair, a candle, or even a place where you feel at peace. This space is not just a physical refuge, but also a constant reminder of your commitment to change. Every time you sit there, you are telling yourself and God that you are committed to your journey of transformation. Great changes start with small actions. By trying to change many habits at once, you risk feeling overwhelmed and giving up. Instead, focus on a simple daily practice. Perhaps it is dedicating 5 minutes to pray upon waking or replacing a negative thought with a positive one. Over time, these small actions add up and create a powerful impact on your life. Changing habits can be challenging because traps always arise to test you. There will be days when you feel unmotivated or when old routines seem easier. When this happens, remember that every small progress counts. Return to your spiritual space, say your prayer, and ask God to renew your strength. These moments of weakness are, in fact, opportunities to strengthen your faith. While change is a personal journey, having spiritual support can make all the difference. Share your goals with someone you trust, like a spiritual mentor or a friend who also seeks growth. Sharing experiences and prayers can help you stay focused and remind you that you are not alone. God often places people in our lives to guide and strengthen us. As you begin to change your habits, something wonderful happens. Your identity also transforms. Habits are not just repeated actions. They are reflections of who you are and who you want to become. Every new spiritual practice you adopt brings you closer to a version more aligned with God's plans for you. Instead of seeing yourself as someone struggling against old patterns, start seeing yourself as a renewed person. Correcting habits is not just about improving your life here on earth. It is about aligning your existence with the divine purpose. When you live according to spiritual principles, you experience a peace and joy that go beyond human understanding. God rewards those who strive to walk in His light. By transforming your habits, you are not just changing your routine, but also building a life that glorifies the Creator and inspires those around you. God never gives up on you. No matter how distant you may feel from Him or how much your journey has been marked by stumbles and detours, know this: He has never taken His eyes off you. Even in moments when you strayed, in times when doubts and fears seemed greater than your faith, God remained waiting. He is there, with open arms, waiting for just one gesture from you to reconnect. He not only understands your struggles, but also knows the extraordinary potential He placed within you. Perhaps you are feeling an emptiness, a disconnection, or even a burden that seems impossible to carry. This is just a sign that it is time to make room to hear Him again. God speaks in quiet and powerful ways, in moments when we allow ourselves to stop, breathe, and seek Him. So today, I invite you to do that. Create this space, even if it is just for a few minutes. Talk to Him, or simply stay silent and allow His presence to fill your soul. He is waiting for you, not with judgments, but with unconditional love and a promise of renewal. God sees what you can be, not just what you have been. He sees your strength, even when you feel weak. He believes in you, even when you doubt yourself. And He never gives up, because His love for you is infinite. Make this journey of change a moment of reunion with the divine, and you will see how everything starts to make sense again. Now that you know which habits may be blocking your connection with God, I want to hear from you. Which of these habits did you realize you need to work on to improve your spiritual listening? Or is there another habit you believe is keeping you away from hearing God's voice? Share your story in the comments and help inspire our community of chosen ones. Thank you for staying with me until now. If this content resonated in your heart, follow the channel, like, and share this video with those who might also relate to it. If you want to discover the spiritual meaning of looking younger than your age, the next video is for you. Click now and find out.